What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Positionless podcast. Today, I'm going to be breaking down every team's NBA draft and every pick from the 2025 NBA draft and how each team did, how their picks fit within their system and their team, and breaking down the prospects a little bit as well, giving you guys some insight if you didn't catch the draft, didn't know a whole lot about the draft. This is your chance to kind of catch up and get informed about some of the guys coming in next year. And yeah, let's get straight to it. All right, man. So let's get straight into this grading process. So I'm using this website called TierMaker to be grading this every team's NBA draft. Obviously, you got a bunch of ads and stuff right here. Yeah, who cares? But I'm gonna start off with straight up getting right to it. We have two teams in this category, and that is the NA category. These two teams did not make a pick in the draft or trade up for a pick, and that is the Denver Nuggets and the Houston Rockets. Denver, they just didn't have any picks this year. I really would have loved to see them maybe trade up in the second round and get a guy that can complement their system. One of those late round guys that they have brought in the past, like a Christian Brown, Jalen Pickett, those type of guys. They could have brought in, but they did not make a pick. And the Houston Rockets, we all know what they did. Trading for KD, trading that 10th pick away to Phoenix, and then they traded a couple of their second rounders out as well. So they didn't have any moves for the Houston Rockets, so those two teams are already just going to be placed in that category right there. And let's get started, man. Let's get started with the first official grade of the 2025 NBA draft. That's the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. Got them in an A grade. By the way, this is not going in any specific order. These are just by the way they were lined up on ESPN.com. So not in any specific order. So this is going to be kind of all over the place. But to start, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder. They took Thomas Sorber at 15th overall, and they took Brooks Barnhizer 44th. The consensus is that Thomas Sorber was the perfect fit. He fits that defensive mold, lengthy, 6'9" with a 7'6" wingspan. Showed flashes of shooting the ball at Georgetown this past year in his 1 year there, and got hurt halfway through the season with a foot injury, but he should be good to go by the time that starts. He didn't work out or anything, and even Sam Presti said that he got to watch some practice early in the year and really liked what he saw. I think it's a seamless fit. I mean, you bring in a backup big to complement Hartenstein now. You don't need someone to replace Chet. Chet runs the 4, and someone can come in and play Hartenstein's type minutes on the rebounding end and defensive end. So pretty much a seamless fit and a great pick for OKC. And then Brooks Barnhizer, they kind of took a flyer with an experienced guy, 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan. Not a great shooter, but he's just going to be out there for grit and grind, just straight toughness, intensity on the defensive end, intensity all over the floor, really. This is a guy who got one of his two teeth knocked out and then played the next week and got him knocked out again. Brooks Barnhizer was a great pickup in the second round. Probably be on a two-way, I would assume, because they really don't have that many roster spots, so I would assume be on a two-way. But yeah, man, Brooks Barnhizer fits the Thunder mold too perfectly, and you get him with the 44th pick. I think it's a great role player addition and a great guy that you could bring in to your organization, especially the Thunder. He fits that culture, that defensive culture that they're building there here in Oklahoma City. Next up, I got Miami. They only had one pick, and it was the 20th overall pick, and it was with they took Kasparas Jakučionis, a B+. Their one pick they made was a great one. Jakučionis struggled late in the year at Illinois, especially with turnover problems, and just couldn't shoot. Wasn't knocking down shots. Was not knocking down shots at a high clip, and looked a little bit rattled towards the end of Big Ten play. But the first 2 months of the season, he was perfect. He was playing really good basketball, averaging like 17, 4, and then I think 4 or 5 assists on pretty solid splits. But, I've watched Jakučionis. First time I heard about him was 2024 at the EuroLeague Next Gen Finals, and he broke the single game assist record for like 16 assists in a game. He's crafty. He can make any read out of the pick and roll. He can get his shot off when he needs to. Not the greatest self-creator, but when you have Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo around you, I don't think you really need to be an insane go get a bucket type player. I think you just need to be able to create advantages and make great passes and feed and get those guys, set up those guys, and that's what Yakuchonis does. The defensive end is his biggest question. How good of he's kind of liable on the defensive end, but I think you can hide him, and he's got great size at 6'6". He played the combo guard, as a combo guard. He could play the 1 or the 2, and he's 6'6", and he's got great vision. Can see over most defenders. But yeah, I really like Yakuchonis, and I really like this fit too. And they needed a point guard badly in Miami. They needed a true point guard in Miami. Next up, I got the Golden State Warriors. Only had 2 second-round picks. I'm gonna give them a C-, man. They picked Alex Tui, 52nd, and Will Richards, 56th. Tui from Australia was committed to Gonzaga for a little bit, then just decided to go play pro in Australia. And here he is in the draft. And Will Richards, the national champion at Florida, 56th overall. Tui, I'm not too high on. I mean, I kind of don't like that we traded him, or didn't trade it back for him, because we had the 41st pick. Traded it back for 2 second-rounders. Tui, a defensive-minded wing, physical toughness, brings intensity on the defensive end. Not the greatest shooter, but he's 6'8", brings good size and intensity on the defensive end. Pretty athletic for somebody of his build. He's a little bit bigger at 6'8", with a little bit bigger, more weight on him. So yeah, pretty good athlete for his size. If he can improve his shooting and be that 3-and-D type role on the wing, my favorite team, Golden State, would love to have him. And Will Richard too is a great guard. He's just a good scoring guard. Watched him play at Belmont for a year, and then he transferred to Florida after he averaged about 12 or 13 at Belmont. And yeah, man, he was gonna go out last year, but came back and decided to win a natty with Florida. But yeah, ultimately not that great of a draft, just because you're two late second-round picks. I mean, you're just hoping for some guys that could turn out to be good role players at this point in the draft. But yeah, I mean, I wish we would have had a first-round pick. That would have been nice because it slowed the draft, but we did not. So we took 2 older, more experienced guys, and I'm fine with that. And that's gonna ultimately give them a C-, just because of the quality of the picks that they had. And we got the first A+ of the day. And it's going to go to the San Antonio Spurs, man. The San Antonio Spurs, the 2nd pick and the 14th pick, ultimately ended up trading out of their 2nd-round pick. But they took 2 great players in Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant at 14th. Dylan Harper, I'm sure everybody knows him, son of Ron Harper, brother of Ron Harper Jr. Lefty guard. Some say he's the next Cade Cunningham, plays like a bigger Jalen Brunson. I mean, when you have the number 2 pick, you just got to take the right talent. You can't take the best fit, and because Dylan Harper doesn't really fit what they need right now, but it's the best talent. You're going to have to find a way to pair Fox, Castle, and Harper all together. But I'm sure it could work with Harper being a little bit bigger than Fox and Castle, but I'm sure they could find a way to make that work. Plus, you add Carter Bryant, who's like a Swiss Army knife pretty much. 6'8", can play great defense. Wasn't asked to do a whole lot at Arizona, but the flashes were there. Showed a lot of three-point potential. So I think he's at that 3-and-D feel, a little bit of a Keldon Johnson type player who's on the Spurs squad. I think he could be a bigger and eventually more talented Keldon Johnson in the future. And the Spurs really nailed it, man. You got to have the Dylan Harper pick. That already gets you a pretty high grade for that. But then you pick another seamless fit in Carter Bryant to get him an A+. I really like what they did with those 2 picks, and that's going to give them the first A+ of the draft. And then next I had the Hawks at a B-. They only had 1 pick, and they did a pretty good job of it, but I'm not the biggest fan of the fit. And they took Asa Newell, 23rd overall. They traded back with New Orleans, so New Orleans get their 13th pick. And I like Asa Newell's talent. A big, athletic big, 6'10". Couldn't really shoot the 3 very well at Georgia this past year, but he's physical and he's athletic and he's lengthy. And I think that they already have that I think they already have that with Jalen Johnson and Clint Capella. I mean, I guess I could see this as a backup plan for Clint Capella in the future, but I just don't like the fit. I don't really know how you pair them with Jalen Johnson. You got Zachary Sachet already too as a wing tweener guy. I just don't really see how you add another tweener in Asa Newell right there. And I don't really know where you could play him if you can't really shoot the ball. But I guess, the talent's there, though. The talent is there in Asa Newell, but it's just, can they develop it right? Maybe can they add a 3-point shot to his game, maybe get his shot better? Because the mechanics don't look horrible, but if they can add that 3-point shot to his game, I could see this grade and maybe even being higher than a B minus. But right now, I just don't really like the fit for Ace Newell in Atlanta. Now we got the worst grade so far, and this is by far the consensus for this team, and that's the Brooklyn Nets. Give them a D+, bro. They had 5 first-round picks. The strategy behind them was pretty interesting. Yeah, it was actually pretty bad. They took Yegor Demin 8th overall, which I could see. Big guard, 6'8" and 6'9" in shoes. Best passer in the draft, great playmaker. Not super athletic, and not incredibly, good on the defensive end. But, a big guard that has playmaking upside. Or it's a known playmaker right now with potential scoring upside that can't really shoot, but it's just a unique player that you got to bet on at 6'9", a 6'9" point guard with exceptional high-level passing. You kind of got to take him right there. But I thought they would take either Malawach or they were hoping for Jeremiah Fears. I know that. If Fears was here right after him, after he got picked, if Fears was there, they would have took him. I know it. Yeah, you take Igor Demon, then you took Nolan Traore at 19, and then I don't know. You paired two guards that really don't shoot the ball very well. Traore is more of a downhill point guard who can create off the bounce and not really create for his teammates off the bounce. Can't really shoot the ball. He's got a nice floater. He's got a nice touch in the paint, but that's only inside the arc. He's not a guy that can shoot off the dribble very well, and he can't really shoot off the catch and shoot very well, very well. So you paired those two together. I just don't see how that's gonna work, especially with a guy like Cam Thomas already out there, a scoring machine. I'm not seeing the vision. And then they took Drake Powell, 22nd overall, who's more of a 3-and-D. I guess you could call him a guard. I think he's a wing at 6'6", with a long wingspan, best athlete in the draft. I mean, I could see the vision with that pick, but he's super raw. Really not much offensive game outside of a catch and shoot jumper. I mean, maybe he's one of those guys that develops in the future, like a Peyton Watson type of player. But yeah, I just didn't really see the vision with taking those 3 guys, or those 4 guys, or 3 guys, and then Ben Seraph at 27 or 26. Yeah, sorry, 26. Took Ben Seraph, a lefty Israeli guard, more known as a scorer, can dish the ball pretty well. He can make good passes, gets to the free throw line a lot. But yeah, those 4 picks right there, I just don't see how they mesh. All 4 can't really. 3 of them can't really shoot that well, and they're all guards, and they're all kind of the same, almost the same style of play a little bit, except for Nolan Traore. Traore's more of a speedy player. But yeah, those 4 picks didn't really make sense to me. But I like what they got in Danny Wolf, though. I like how they made that Danny Wolf pick, and they got Danny Wolf right after taking Seraph. I'm a big fan of Danny Wolf. Watched him play in a U20 tournament in summer of 2023 with Israel, and he was fresh off a 3-point per game season, but in the tournament you could see the flashes. You could see a 7-footer of his size making effortless post up fadeaway, bump left, fade right. I'm saying fade jumpers in the mid post. Had a post game, making passes out of the post that I've never, almost Jokic type. Literally why they call him Jokic, like a Jokic type of player. But yeah, and Danny Wolf is a great player. Can create off the bounce, has a post game, can pass out of the post, can pass from anywhere. Can run the pick and roll as a 7-footer, as a ball handler. A 7-footer can run the pick and roll as a ball handler. You don't really get that too often. You know what I'm saying? So I think I like Danny Wolf to Brooklyn. But the other 4 picks were questionable. To be honest, if they didn't take Danny Wolf, this would probably be an F in my opinion. This would be the only F on here. But yeah, maybe the Nets just see something that nobody else sees, and their picks end up working out for them. But I don't see it happening. Excuse me. And next up we have the Boston Celtics at a C+ in my book. Took Hugo Gonzalez from Spain, 29th overall. Really high motor guy, electric on the defensive end. Plays with a lot of energy. You can, when you watch his film, you can just kind of feel how hard he's playing on the court. Has a jumper, can shoot the ball. He kind of fits that 3-and-D mold a little bit, but super athletic. If he would have tested the combine, I would think he would have his stock would have been a little bit higher, just because he didn't get minutes at Real Madrid this season, playing with grown men on the senior team. is the reason his stock fell, because he showed out at every other level, at the U18 level, the youth level. But yeah, once he got with the big boys, his playing time sunk. Didn't really get to see a lot of film of him on the floor, but when he did, he shined in those moments, playing hard defense, chase down blocks, lane steals, electric dunks on the fast break. Yeah, I like what they got in Hugo. And then they took Amari Williams, 46th, and they kind of filled that backcourt or that front court void with Al Horford being a million years old, Porzingis getting traded. They kind of needed to add a front court piece. I would have liked to see him maybe wait on Hugo and take Kalkbrenner at that 29th pick, but they didn't. And Amari Williams is a 7-footer from Kentucky who is a traditional big man and can really block shots around the rim. Didn't have a 3-point game, but he kind of handled the ball a little bit too at Kentucky. He almost played that point forward role for a little bit. Not somebody like Danny Wolf who can make plays out of the pick and roll, but he could just can be a hub on offense and kind of control the game a little bit in a ball handler sense. Next up, I'm gonna have the Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets taking Concanipple and friends, and I'm gonna take them at a B+. I like what the Hornets did. They're known for being pretty bad at drafting in history, but I like what they did in this draft, taking a Concanipple at 4. Great shooter, plays off 2. Questionable on the defensive end, but has a great base, can play off 2, and shoots the ball off movement very well. And he's 6'6". I mean, the defense could improve. I mean, there's questions about his defense at the NBA level, but if it can improve, I think Khan's a really great player and fits in with the LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller on the offensive end. So that offense, I think, would be pretty good. Then they took Liam McNeely, who's kind of a similar player, but a little bit bigger at 6'8". McNeely didn't shoot the ball as well in college, but I think it'll translate more to the NBA with more spacing because McNeely was a great shooter in high school. And he's pretty good mechanics for being 6'8". Pretty athletic as well too. Not the best defender either, but you're taking a guy with offensive talent who can score, play off 2, and get to the basket, make plays in the post area once they play off 2. I like those 2 picks, the similar 2 picks from the Hornets. Then they took Sion James, who's a great playmaker, high basketball IQ, NBA-ready body, built like a linebacker, can handle the ball if needed. Not the greatest shooter, but he can take that lead guard roll over and then be a dog on the defensive end. And then they took Ryan Kalkbrenner at 34. That's probably gonna be their starting center, considering they traded Mark Williams and Jusuf Nurkic now. So he's the only really big on their lineup, unless you count Mohamed Diabate. Or Musa Diabate, sorry. Unless you count Musa Diabate. But so that front court's going to be probably really thin, and he might have a chance to put up some big numbers, especially in the defensive end, being the only big down there at 7'1". And he showed flashes of an outside jumper in his last year at Creighton. Shot about 30-something% maybe, if my memory stands corrected. But yeah, man, I mean, I like Kalkbrenner as the starting center. He's 23, 24 years old. He's going to play right away. He's ready right away. He's got experience in college, and I think he fits the Hornets, and fits right in, obviously, because he gets that starting role probably from day one. Next up after the Hornets, I got the Chicago Bulls, and I don't like what they did whatsoever in this draft. I'm going to give them a D+. They had the 12th overall pick, and they took Noah Essenge from France, played in Germany, 12th overall. I've never really been high on Essenge. I watched him play at the Next Gen EuroLeague Finals a year ago. He couldn't really score. Like anything inside the paint was really the only way he could score, and he shot bad. He shot bad with most of his shots being inside the paint. And that was his team was pretty bad. I'll give him that. So he was the main centerpiece of the team, but I just didn't see the talent. I didn't see the vision in everybody. And late in the process, ESPN tried to push him to be a top 9 guy, and I just never saw it. I really didn't see it. I mean, I'll give him. He's an exceptional defender. He can defend pretty well for 6'11", on the ball, off the ball, like on guards, on centers, but not really a great shot blocker. He's decently athletic. But yeah, his 3-point shot is just it's streaky. It's all get out. I mean, that's all I can really say. It's streaky. There was a stretch of the season where he went in like eight or 9 games without hitting a three on like 2+ attempts a game, and that's not good. But he can't really handle the ball. His handle's pretty loose. So I just didn't really see the vision in Noah Senge from the start. But maybe he'll prove me wrong, hopefully. And then they took Lachlan Ulrich, who's a center from Australia. A skilled big man, but more of a traditional one. Can't really shoot. He can put the ball on the floor, act as a playmaking hub. He'll probably end up in the G League on a two-way due to them. I mean, the Bulls took 2 bigs anyway, with already having Vucevic and Andre Drummond on the roster. So I guess they're trying to get a little bit younger with the big man. But yeah, I didn't like what they did with the 2 picks in their draft. Taking 2 non-floor stretching big men. And Asenge is essentially like a tweener to me. I don't really see him playing the center position. He's thin, not strong. I just don't like what they did in this draft. And after the Bulls, I got the Cleveland Cavaliers coming in with a C+. They had 2 second-round picks, and that was the only picks in the draft. And one was Tyrese Proctor, who's a junior guard who brings in shooting right away for Cleveland from Duke. Brings in perimeter shooting right away. Decent ball handling, but he's mainly going to be off the ball, especially for his first couple years in Cleveland. But at least he gets to step into a win-now team and, play a good amount of minutes, maybe coming off as the 8th or 9th man for the Cavs. They just extended Sam Merrill, and Ty Jerome's leaving. So, I think he could come in, maybe take that 8th man, 7th man role. He's probably going to get minutes in the playoffs, considering teams want to get deeper. And it doesn't hurt to add perimeter shooting into your depth. It really doesn't. And then they took a stash pick in Salou Niang. Really didn't get to watch much film on this guy. He's from Cameroon or Senegal, I believe. And 6'8" wing. Played in France, but didn't really watch a lot of film on him. And yeah, probably gonna be a stash pick that we won't see in the NBA for a while, because I know the Cavs took Khalifa Diop about 3 years ago, and he hasn't played a minute in the NBA. So yeah, they did all right with their picks. They getting Proctor, but I feel like they could have done more and maybe traded up for the first round. Next up, the Cavs. I'm gonna give them Dallas Mavericks. Man, they're gonna get an A+. They only have 1 pick. Kind of self-explanatory. They had the number 1 pick. They took Cooper Flag. Kind of hard to not get an A+ when you take your only pick as Cooper Flag. And when you have the number 1 pick, you're gonna get an A+, unless this backfires and Cooper Flag is a bust, which I highly doubt. But yeah, Dallas Mavericks gonna get A+. Pretty self-explanatory right there. Then after the Mavericks, the Detroit Pistons. Gotta give them a B-. They had 1 pick, and I think they nailed it with Chaz Lanier, taking him 37th overall. Kind of interesting trajectory. Tennessee had the same Dalton Connect type feel. Came in from a mid-major North Florida and averaged 17 a game on decent splits, but not as good as he was shooting at North Florida. I think he had a 50-40-90 season his senior year at North Florida, and shot really well. But it's the SEC. I mean, his game translated from the ASUN to the SEC. The SEC, excuse me. And when you can make shots at a high clip and score off of limited dribbles, like, you're gonna be a great player in that. You're gonna be a great off-ball player in the NBA. And with Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, you don't really need that on-ball player. You need a guy like Tim Hardaway or Malik Beasley that are gonna be able to play decent defense and knock down shots, and then make right reads off the catch when needed and attack closeouts. That's how you're gonna be a great off-ball player in the NBA. And I think Chaz Lanier clicks every single of those boxes. I would be higher, but it's just they only have 1 pick, and I feel like they kind of maybe could have used another pick, maybe traded for another pick to kind of gets a little bit more wing depth besides Lanier. Excuse me. But give them a B- for the Detroit Pistons. I love what they did with Chaz Lanier. And then next up, I got the Pacers. I'm going to give them a B. I'm going to give the Pacers a B. They took Cam Jones. They took Cam Jones with the 38th pick, and then they took Taylor Peter with the 54th. Cam Jones, if you don't know, from Marquette, played 4 years, started every game, led their team in scoring maybe for the last 3. if I'm right. And yeah, kind of lost his touch from outside the last season that he was at Marquette. But electric scorer, can go get a bucket in bunches. Just not as good of a defender. I would expect him to play a Ben Mathurin type role and come in and just get buckets, but not provide that same defense that Mathurin and that same athleticism that Ben Mathurin has. But yeah, I think it was a great pick for the Pacers and bring him in as another backup guard. While Halliburton's out for probably the whole next season, if not majority of it. And then they took Taylor Peter, 54th. Wasn't listed on any top 100 boards, any best availables at a Liberty. Didn't only started 2 games the whole year. Won the Conference USA 6th Man of the Year. He's a microwave scorer. He played 22 minutes a game, went in and averaged 14 points, and then to add on top of that, he shot 55% from the field and 44% from 3. So I mean, the Pacers clearly saw something nobody else did, and he's a quick guard. He's 6'4", very athletic. Can shoot the ball obviously at a high clip, and can handle it if need be. He played I think he played both the 1 and the 2 at Liberty this past year, if I remember right. And his story is incredible too. He came from Tennessee Tech his freshman year, played 4 games, I believe, transferred back home to Arkansas Tech, which is a D2 in his hometown, balled out, won Conference Player of the Year, transferred back up, came to Liberty, and then he did that. He went off for 14 points a game and only 22 minutes of action. It's incredible. I mean, taking him 54th overall, wasn't listed on any big boards. He's got a cool story, and I think he's gonna prove to maybe in the future why he could be a steal and fit that Pacers role player mold that we saw and be a part of that depth that they need in the playoffs maybe this year or next year. Coming after the Pacers though, I'm gonna give the Clippers a B as well. I like what they did with their 2 picks. They used their first round pick, their 30th pick, to take Yannick Niederhauser from Penn State. 7 foot, great athletic big man. Could run the floor, block shots at a very high level. Not so sure about his versatility on the defensive end, but he was one of the biggest stock risers in the draft. Was not even mocked to go at all at the start of the season, and then came in and made himself a fringe first rounder and then got picked in the first round. So great story from Conan Niederhauser. And in his workouts, he showed flashes of him shooting the ball from the 3-point line, and it didn't look too bad. But I mean, you never know. That's in a gym full of empty people with nobody guarding you. So really, you never know how the 3-point shot will translate. But I like what they got when Conan Niederhauser to get and add in that front court depth behind Zubac, because they don't really have anybody else behind Zubac, if we're being honest. And then they took Kobe Sanders at the 50th pick, I believe. Yeah, Kobe Sanders, 50th pick. A big 6'9" guard, bigger than, not a Yegor Demon type 6'9", where he's a little bit thinner. He's built. He's got a little bit more weight on him. He can make plays out of the pick and roll. Ran the pick and roll very well at Nevada this year, and his game is translated to every level. He started at Cal Poly, I believe, and then transferred up to Nevada, and the numbers didn't really fall off. And he shot the ball pretty well I think he shot maybe like low 30s from 3, which, I mean, he that's okay. But when you're a 6'9" point guard and you can make plays out of the pick and roll and hit and pull up when you get to your midi and get to the basket as well, finish inside, I mean, I think you're in a pretty good safe spot. So I like what the Clippers did with those 2 picks. Maybe we'll see him. I know we'll see Conan in the rotation next year, but hopefully we see Kobe Sanders. I'm a big fan of his game. And then after the Clippers, we got the Lakers. I'm going to come in with a B-, picking up a Duthero from Arkansas with their only second-round pick. A 6'8" wing, still a young junior, though. I think he's only 20 years old. 21 by the season starts. Yeah, Duthero, a really physical, intense wing. Got a long wingspan and a high vert. Didn't really have too much of a three-point shot this year at Arkansas. Was more of a downhill type of get to the bucket wing and make plays in the open court, he plays great defense. He's energetic on the defensive end, can guard multiple positions, probably 1 through 5 if we're being real. More of a versatile wing on the defensive end with a little bit limited offense, but I mean I'm sure he could find a way and carve out his own role with the Lakers, and I like what they did taking him at 34. Sorry, 36. I apologize. 36 overall. Then we got the Grizzlies coming up after the Lakers. I'm gonna give the Grizzlies an A. That's not A. Sorry, that is A minus. But yeah, I'm gonna give them an A because they picked Cedric Coward 11th overall, traded up with Portland, traded up with Portland, traded back in the draft. Or no, Portland traded back in the draft. Sorry, they traded with Portland for the 11th pick. And Cedric Coward, I've been on him for a little bit now, about a year and a half when he was at Washington or Eastern Washington. Showed great tools and upside at Eastern Washington, but he was playing against Big Sky comp, so it was kind of hard to see it, translate. But and he still didn't really play that. He played more Power 5 teams this year with Washington State, but he only played 6 games because of a shoulder injury. But he fits that grit and grind type mold as a 3-and-D wing, 6'6", 7'1" wingspan. That J-Dub Kawhi type mold of a player build. A little bit thinner than those guys, but he's got a great 3-point shot. He shot like 37% from the three on the season in the past 2 seasons actually. I believe he shot 39% from the 3-point line in his sophomore year. So he's got a stroke, and he's 7'1". He has a 7'1" wingspan, and he can guard multiple positions. Like, that's a perfect 3-and-D wing in the NBA. That's how you build a perfect 3-and-D wing. And they took Javon Small, who I thought was a great pick. Tough guard, plays with high intensity on the defensive end, can play as a two-way, pretty much PG, and he can score at will. Get to the post, get by his defender. He really carried West Virginia in the second half of the season once Tucker DeVries went down. And he's really contributed everywhere he's been, Eastern Carolina, Oklahoma State. So I think his game will transit to the NBA and kind of gives Ja a backup point guard that he can count on to come in and start getting buckets, kind of like a Scottie Pippen almost, Scottie Pippen Jr. In that same type of role, but a little bit better on the defensive end. So he brings more two-way versatility. And he's athletic as well. Can really dunk the ball. I will not lie. And then the Grizzlies, they took Jemai Mashak with the last pick in the draft. One of the better defenders in the SEC. I expect him to be, one of those dogs on defense. You probably won't see him in the league too often, maybe on a two-way, but I expect him to be one of those sit-down, play defense type of guys. Next, we have the Bucks. I'm gonna give the Bucks a D+ because they only have one pick in the draft, and it was a second-round pick, but they took a stash player in Bogoju Markovic from Serbia, 7-foot wing who can shoot the ball, limited off the dribble a little bit. I didn't like them taking a European stash player with their only pick. I mean, I think you would like to take an experienced point guard, while Dame's out. Because I mean, I really can't. I'm probably blanking, just not thinking right now. I can't really think of their starting point guard, who the starting point guard would be, like at the start of the season, like the true starting point guard. I mean, maybe Gary Trent. AJ Green, Pat Connaughton, those are the only guards I can think of on the roster. I think you should have took an experienced point guard who could have came in and gave you minutes right away. They had the 47th pick, so it was kind of deep in the draft. But I would have liked to see him, take that experienced point guard and get some experience on the roster while Dame was out, and give him at least some option to play with while Dame's out. Next, I got the Timberwolves. I like what they did. Taking Yohan Berenjay at 17. I'm gonna give him a B. I'm gonna give him a B for this for their draft. Yohan Berenjay is a 7-footer, 6'11" in barefoot, 7 foot over 7 foot in shoes. Can move very well, very fluid on both ends. Only played basketball for about 4 years, and he played soccer for his whole life prior. So he's got fast feet. Like, that was like one of the first things I noticed when I watched like some film on him. He's got fast feet for a 7-footer. He slides well, and especially guarding guards. Like, he was getting attacked. I won't lie. He was getting attacked and hunted down on the pick and roll. They were hunting for switches on him, and he responded well by moving his feet super well, sliding his feet super well, keeping up with guards off the dribble. I was kind of surprised because he's 18, playing pro basketball over in Serbia or Slovenia. Sorry, he's playing in Slovenia, and he was keeping his own. He was holding his own on the defensive end. I mean, like, he was guarding guards, and he was playing really good defense on bigs. He led the league. He led the Adriatic League, which is a league of countries clubs like in those surrounding countries in Slovenia, Serbia, all that. He led that league in blocks and block percentage, and he's only 18 years old and he's 7 foot. Also played in the Euro Cup too, which is a lower level of the Euro League. So I mean, there's a lot of potential. He's 18 years old. He could learn behind Rudy Gobert, and then they took Rocco Zakarski at 45, who I'm not really a huge fan of. Limited upside in that pick. He brings shot blocking upside. I mean, I guess. Never really saw the hype in him, but Berenger I think is a great fit and a great player you could develop behind Rudy Gobert and get that and develop that raw skill set and kind of build his feel for the game eventually, like early on in his career, because he's only 18. You know, imagine what he looks like in 4 years with the experience, like NBA experience, better, like more skill development, better coaches, all that. I think he'll only get better with time. And the Pelicans, everybody was on their head, but I'm gonna give them an A-. I love what they did. They took Fears, who it's a great fit because I think he can play the one, even though they just traded for Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole's not really a lead guard. Poole's more of a scoring guard. You pair Fears up with Jordan Poole. Fears can set up Jordan Poole perfectly. You know, Fears gets to the paint, creates paint touches at ease, can score in the mid-range, knows how to make reads out of the pick and roll, can really manipulate the pick and roll and ball screens, and make passes on the pops too. He had a teammate at Oklahoma who mainly popped this year, and he was able to make the hook passes with ease. And he can make any pass out of the pick and roll while also getting to his mid-range, scoring, and generating paint touches. That's a huge thing. Creating advantages and playing off too, which he did really well at OU. And I've seen people say that he may not be good in the NBA. I'm like, how could you have a guard that, you know, can get in the paint, can create paint touches at will, has an electric handle, can get to where he wants to on the floor, get to the midi, and sometimes even blow by his defender and get to the cup, and create his own three-point shot eventually sometimes. It didn't fall as much, but the mechanics weren't bad, and he had a really high usage rate at Oklahoma. I think he had a 40-something% of a usage rate as a freshman, as an 18-year-old freshman who reclassed up. Like, that's going to happen. He's going to struggle. He's going to have some decision-making issues when he has the ball in his hands 47% of the time of the whole game. So, I mean, that's only like, you know, those are the only concerns were, you know, but that's controllable. That's going to come with, you know, as a point guard, you're going to handle the ball a lot. But 47% is a little OD. And once that goes down, those decision-making issues and turnovers and forced shots are going to be limited. And he's going to really shine in the NBA, I think. And then they took Derek Queen. They traded for Derek Queen at 13. And everybody was shocked that they traded. And everybody was like, what are the Pelicans doing? They're trading their 2026 unprotected pick. If they trade up for Derek Queen, they're not going to be bad. Like, let's be real. If they're healthy, they're not going to be a bad team. And that pick probably won't have a very high chance of getting number one, or a high pick. Because next year's class is going to be really good, but I mean, it's not going to be that great of a pick unless they just all fall to bone, like all their bones break again. You know, they just get disintegrated with injuries, which I don't think is happening again. Because you're talking about DeJounte Murray, Jordan Poole, Zion Williamson, Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen, Trey Murphy. Like, I just named 6 guys right there. That's a solid 6 guys right there. They're not going to be that bad. And then they got Micah Peavy too at 40th overall, who's more of a bigger wing who can play as a 3-and-D guy in my book. And he's athletic, an athletic 3-and-D wing. Not so much off the dribble scoring wise, but I mean, when you take that's a solid draft, bro. You get Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears on the same team. That's I don't see how people can say that they lost the draft because they traded that one pick. Like, it's not gonna matter if they both develop outright. Coming over to the Pelicans though, the New York Knicks, C- for me, maybe a D+. They took a raw French wing in Mohamed Diawara. Played for I don't remember the team. I think it was Cholet in France. Really raw wing, 6'7", I think he's 6'7". Really raw on the offensive end, solid defender. But the New York Knicks, I would have liked to see him take it. I mean, you're contending in the East. Why are you taking a project? You know what I'm saying? I would have took a more of. I mean, they had the 51st pick. They had the 51st pick, but like I think you could have took a more experienced guy than instead of taking a project when you're probably going to be the number 1 seed in the East next year, if we're being real. And then after the Knicks, man, I got the Magic. I like what they did taking Jace Richardson at 25th, and then they took Noah Penda at 32. Jace Richardson is a great combo guard choice for them. He can bleed the offense when need be, and then he can come off the ball and provide shooting at the 2. And he brings toughness and intelligence with a high IQ, and he made great plays at Michigan State this year, playing with Jeremy Fears and Trey Holloman. I like Jace Richardson, but he's a little shorter than you would like. But he brings intensity and high IQ and shooting. So and he can play that both the 1 or 2 or the 2. So I like that pick from the Magic. And they took Noah Penda, who's a super versatile forward from France. I think he's about 6'9". Can shoot the ball, put the ball on the floor, score inside. He's got a bigger body, a bigger frame at 6'9", and don't know his official weight, but he's a bigger frame. Can shoot the ball off the catch very well, and he plays really good defense on both positions, on any position. Maybe not the 1 as good as he plays defense at the 5, but still a great versatile defender and a versatile on the offensive end. You can place him anywhere. I like those 2 picks from the Magic. And then coming up with an A-, the Philadelphia 76ers. Whoa. Sorry. Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, they took VJ Eggershcombe at 3. Hard to deny that talent and the athleticism. I think VJ's going to fit in perfectly with Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and all of them in Philadelphia. And Kelly Oubre. He can play the 2 or the 3 at 6'5". Sorry. Yeah, you can play the 2 or the 3 at 6'5". Yeah, I like the pick with VJ Edgecombe. They took Jannar Broom at 35, I believe. Yeah, 35, and that's an older big man from college, National Player of the Year candidate. Shooting stroke could develop better from 3, but he's a great shot blocker, great inside presence, NBA ready big. I like what they did by taking him there. Then the Suns, I'm gonna give them a C+, just because the simple fact they took Kamal Maluach, and then later they traded for Mark Williams. Didn't really get the vision. Still don't get the vision really. I don't know who's gonna come off the bench. I guess it's Maluach. Don't know why you would take a top 10 pick and then play him off the bench, but unless they play those guys together. I mean, Maluach showed shooting potential at Duke a little bit. I mean, he shot like 5 threes, or he only made like 5 threes on the whole season. But his jumper looks pretty smooth. If he can develop his shot, I mean, they could honestly maybe play a dangerous, huge 7-foot and then 7'2" lineup. And then maybe even in the future, Rasheer Fleming, they took with the 31st pick. Play Rasheer Fleming at the 3, who's 6'9" in his own right with a huge wingspan. And can shoot the ball and play really tough and really high motor guy. Can play really tough defense. Pair those 2 together, I think it could be a dangerous, small forward through center stretch right there. But as of right now, unless Maluach develops a shot, I don't see how it fits, and I don't really see the vision behind what they did. But they did take Kobe Brea from Kentucky at 41, who provides immediate shooting right away, decent defender. Would like to see him, get better on the defensive end, but provides immediate shooting right away. That's one thing he's guaranteed to bring to the Phoenix Suns. And then coming up after them, the Portland Trailblazers did a C+ as well, just because they had 1 pick, and they took Hanson Yang. Big fan of Hanson Yang, but I just don't. I mean, now it makes sense because this video was supposed to come out 2 days prior, but there were some audio issues. So now it makes sense because they bought out DeAndre Ayton. So, I mean, it opens up space for him now. But at the time when they drafted him, it really didn't catch 3 centers on the whole roster. You had Donovan Clingan, Hanson Yang, and DeAndre Ayton. It didn't make sense, but now it does. And Hanson Yang is more like a Jokic type player. They call him the Chinese Jokic right now on Twitter and all that. Because he can pass exceptionally well. He's more of a Danny Wolf that doesn't play the pick and roll. Like, he doesn't really play out of the pick and roll, but he can make passes. He can operate as a hub. He can shoot the ball. And he's a really big. He has a big frame, huge frame. He's huge hands, great measurements. So I could see why they took him. And he's only 20 years old, so kind of a high upside pick. But I like Hanson Yang. But now that I know that DeAndre Ayton isn't there anymore, I would probably give this up to a B minus at the least. But just for purposes of this video, was supposed to be made 2 days ago. I think Portland's going to stay at a C plus, and hopefully Hanson Yang develops great, because I really love his game. And I remember watching him a year ago at the Sacramento Summer League, and everybody was like, "Who is this guy? Who is this guy?" And I was like, "That's Hanson Yang. He's hooping." And here he is now, a year later, and he's going to be in the actual NBA playing Summer League for an NBA team. Coming up after the Blazers, I got the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to give them a B plus. I love their 2 picks. I love how they took Nick Clifford at 24, traded with the Oklahoma City Thunder for that 24th pick. Got Nick Clifford, a ready wing right now, who's played 4 or 5 years at Colorado State. Super versatile, can put the ball on the floor, athletic. He's played in every role imaginable throughout his whole career at Colorado State. He was not the guy. And then he was the guy in the conference. And, he averaged a good amount of steals. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. But I know he plays really good defense. He's a versatile wing, just simply describe him. He's got a nice three-point stroke, and he's athletic and really – his defense is intense. I mean, I can't rave about his defense enough. It's really intense. And then you got Maxime Reneau from Stanford, a 7-foot big man that can stretch the floor and block shots inside. Not the best, not the most versatile defender. Really don't see him playing too much out of the pick and roll, up top, like high coverages. More see him as a drop big. But you pair him with Domantas Sabonis, you can pair those 2 bigs together, because Maxime could stretch the floor while Sabonis, plays inside, and and then he can back him up on the defensive end too. So I like how they took those 2 guys, the Kings. Hopefully they put it together with Levine and DeRozan this season. Now coming up after the Kings, I got the Toronto Raptors. I gotta give them a D. They're the lowest grade of the video, just because of they took Colin Murray-Boyles at 9. The fit is horrendous. I don't see it. They got Ochai Agbaji, Grady Dick, Scotty Barnes, Chris Boucher. They got a bunch of wings. R.J. Barrett. They got a bunch of wings. They didn't need another one. I mean, I don't see how Colin Murray-Boyles at 6'7" can pair with those guys, especially on the offensive end. Because he can't shoot. He's more of a Draymond-esque type player, especially in the defensive end. I just didn't see. I still don't see how that's gonna fit. And you take a top 10 pick with him. I didn't like it. I would have liked to see him take Malawach to actually get front court depth, a 7'2" lengthy guy, but they bring in an undersized defender and who doesn't have a very, great perimeter game in Colin Murray-Boyles. So I don't like the pick right there. They kind of wasted that pick in my opinion. Maybe CMB proves me wrong, because he's a great player. I like his game. I like how he's a super versatile defender. He can operate in the mid and low post, but he doesn't have a perimeter game. And that's going to be hard to fit in with R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, those guys, and Scotty Barnes. I just don't see it happening. But they took Elijah Martin, 39th, from Florida, who brings athleticism, and he's older. He's about 4 years in college, 5 years maybe. I can't remember. Brings shooting and toughness right away. It's NBA ready. It's an NBA ready guy. Come off the bench, sort of Jamal Shed type of situation, where he can come in and bring shooting and guaranteed athleticism right away to the Raptors. Then after that, I got the Utah Jazz as an A. They took the best talent available, even though he declined to work out with them. Ace Bailey at number 5. And it's what you kind of got to do. I mean, you're a GM. You got to take the best available that gives you the best chance to win. And he fit perfectly in Utah, so I don't know why he didn't want to go there. Don't know if it's just because of the location or what it was, but he fits in perfectly with the team. And that's a perfect spot for him. Get the opportunity to go hoop besides Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. And they also got Walter Clayton, and that's a scoring guard right there in his own right. Now you got Isaiah Collier, who showed flashes of a great rookie last season. Then now you got Walter Clayton, who was known as one of the best players in all of college basketball last season. He's a great shooter, great scoring guard, and they did great with those 2 picks. And then they got another scorer in John Tonje at 53, and he was one of the best scorers in college basketball as well last season. Great free throw shooter, got to the line a ton, and was able to knock down the perimeter shot. So you really brought in a lot of scoring for the Jazz, and that's kind of what they needed. They don't really have that scoring prowess. They had Lauri Markkanen, and that they didn't have a 20-point per game or anybody else behind him. And this is the first year since I think late or early 2000s where they didn't have a 20-point per game score. So they kind of lacked it. I mean, they lacked talent. They needed talent, and they went and got talent in the draft. And I gotta give them an A for that, because that's what they needed. And then rounding out, man, the Washington Wizards coming in as an A+. I love what they did. I mean, I love what they did. They brought in youth and Trey Johnson at 6, and then Will Riley in the 20s at 21st. And then they brought in experienced NBA-ready guy and Jameer Watkins at 41. I think Jameer Watkins is probably going to be the steal of the draft, maybe, depending on what you consider a steal, like the range of the prospect. I consider him going to be one of the biggest steals of the draft. But let's start with Trey Johnson. 6'6" scoring guard, but he can play the 1. His playmaking was slept on. His playmaking ability is slept on. He averaged 4 assists, and he really could have averaged 5 or 6, because there were multiple games where Texas players just weren't hitting open shots, and his playmaking ability was slept on. It wasn't talked about enough because his scoring is so great. He could score off the dribble and create in these athletic, long wingspan. I don't know the exact measurement, but he's got a long, lengthy wingspan, and I think he fits in perfectly with Washington, especially because Jordan Poole's gone now. He can play the 1 aside C.J. McCollum, and they bring in the youth aside their vets in McCollum, Middleton, and Marcus Smart, and Olynyk. And then they bring in the experience, like ready guys, and Jameer Watkins, who played 4 years in college. So they really did great. And Will Riley, I forgot to talk about Will Riley. He's already 6'9", he's a 6'9" wing in his own right, who can score out of any position possible. He can score in the mid post. He can uses limited dribbles and get his shot off from the 3-point line. And he can create in any way possible, in my opinion. And then he's athletic enough to go, get downhill and finish at the rim. So they brought in youth and they brought in experience. Like, those 3 great picks by the Wizards, and especially getting Jameer Watkins at 43. That's great value, because I thought he was gonna be a riser, but I guess not. And the Wizards got him as a steal at 43. So I like what the Wizards did, man. I really do. I think they have a great chance to turn their franchise around, hopefully, because they've been bad for a while. They've been bad for a while ever since John Wall kind of fell out of his prime, aside from the 1 year that Westbrook was there, and they made the playoffs. But, yeah, this is my full tier list of the 2025 NBA Draft. We have the A+ up here all the way down to Ds and As. We didn't make a pick. Let me know what you guys think of the tier grading and the process. Let me know who your favorite prospect was of the draft. Let me know if you learned anything from this video, maybe. And also let me know who your favorite team is and what are your predictions for next season. I know free agency is starting today, actually. It's starting in about a couple hours. So things could shake up a little bit. Yeah, I appreciate everybody that tuned into this video. This was supposed to come out 2 days ago, but I had to refilm it. So this is the second filming. And yeah, I appreciate everybody that was watching. Make sure you subscribe and like the video. Leave a comment. But yeah, that's it. Stay positionless.